Hello and welcome to another Fabula Ultima class feature. This is the Spiritist, a guide by Fabula Points, me. So, jumping straight in as we normally do, the Spiritist is your healer, priest, kind of, your holy kind of caster class, I guess. It uses, like the Elementalist, it has access to magic spells unique to the class, and these are focused around either healing or like status recovery, things like that, but we'll go through them now. So the free benefits: you permanently increase your maximum mind points by 5, which is always good for a caster, and you automatically learn how to do ritualism rituals, which is great if you like rituals. So Spiritist skills. Healing power. When you cast a spell that targets one or more allies, if you have an arcane weapon equipped, so things like a staff, you may have each of those allies recover an amount of hit points equal to skill level multiplied by the number of bonds you have. So if you're someone who goes through bonds quite quickly, this is great. It's just a bit of extra healing, and say if you do, like I mentioned before, like a spell that will cleanse statuses, this adds a heal to that as well. So this is a nice little way to like slightly top up healing. Like, it's not a lot of healing, but every little helps, especially in a turn where you have to decide between healing and doing something else. You can do both with healing power. Ritual Spiritism. You may perform rituals whose effects fall within the Spiritism discipline. They use Insight plus Willpower for the magic check. So rituals are amazing. Everyone should want rituals. Everyone should take Ritual Spiritism, or at least one person in your group if there's more than one Spiritist, just so you have access to them. Spiritual magic, we'll go over more in a minute, but each time you acquire the skill, learn one Spiritist spell. Offensive Spiritist spells use Insight plus Willpower. So on the next pages, there are a bunch of spells, so we'll go through them in a second, but that's your bread and butter for this class. Support magic. When you cast a spell that targets one or more allies, if you have an arcane weapon equipped, you may choose one of those allies you have a bond towards. If you do, that ally gains a bonus to the next check they perform during the current scene. This bonus is equal to the strength of your bond towards them. So if you have like a bond strength of 2, then they get a +2 bonus. Which is pretty cool. So you can twin this with healing power, because you need an arcane weapon with both. So you skill level multiplied by the number of bonds to heal them, and they also get an extra bonus to a check. So this becomes very supporty very quickly without just healing. And then Vimagus, I think that's how we pronounce it. It's how I'm going to pronounce it. When you cast a spell, if you don't have enough mind points to pay for its total cost, you may choose to spend twice as many hit points instead. You cannot use this skill if doing so will reduce you to 0 hit points. If a spell cast this way would cause you to recover hit points, you instead recover no hit points. So if you have 0 mind points and you're going to cast a 10 MP spell, it would cost you 20 hit points instead. It's something that could get you out of a pinch if you really need to, but remember, you can use inventory points to get mind points back. So, like, obviously you'd waste a turn doing that, but there are other ways to get MP back. So before we go into spiritual magic, if we look, there are 15 possible skill point allocations that you can do for the Spiritist. So if you were to max Spiritist, you'd have to take spiritual magic at least 5 times. If you've got everything else, obviously you get it less. If you can get more of it if you choose your skill allocation in other ways. But yeah, spiritual magic. There's a bunch of these, so I'm going to go through them quite quickly because people can read. Aura is 5 magic points per target, up to 3 creatures. It says you project your soul outside your body and direct it to surround the target, shielding them from dangerous magic. Until the spell ends, each target may treat their magic defense as being equal to 12 against any effects that target it. So this is awesome. So say if you have, like, I don't know, like a guardian who's like specced up on armor and shields but doesn't have good magic defense, this is a way to bump that up. So yeah, it's pretty solid. I don't see a problem with it. It's a good support skill. Awaken is 20 magic point cost for 1 creature, duration of scene again. You allow a creature to focus their vital energy into accomplishing what they were previously could not. You choose one attribute: Dex, Insight, Maya, Willpower. Until the spell ends, the target treats the chosen attribute as if it were 1 dice higher. So for an entire scene, that's pretty awesome. So you could like seriously buff a character whose like damage depended on one of their dice, make them hit more often. Yeah, pretty solid. Again, you could eventually do this to your entire team. It would take multiple turns and cost a lot of MP, so I probably wouldn't bother. But yeah, I like it. Barrier. So you project your soul outside your body and move it into a barrier, protect the targets from attacks. Until the spell ends, each target may do the defense has been equal to 12. So this is aura, but defense instead of magic defense. So you've got the option to do either. Cleanse, you strengthen and purify the soul energy coursing through your companions. Each target recovers from all status effects. So this is 5 MP per target up to 3. So this is fantastic. So if you're fighting a boss or something that likes to stack different conditions, 5 MP cost per person to just get rid of them all is amazing. Very cheap. So yeah, this is one that I think is probably essential. Unless you have another party member who has the ability to do this, like this is a top one for me. Enrage, this is our first offensive one. So it's 10 magic points, you target one creature in this instant, so you cause a creature to lose any semblance of temper and act brazenly. The target suffers enraged and cannot perform the guard or spell actions during their next turn. So you have to roll to hit with this one, but if you do, they can't guard or cast spells, only during the next turn. So it's a bit of a gamble whether you hit them or not, but you could temporarily stop a spellcaster from casting like an enormous like party wiping spell while the rest of your team can focus down and kill him. So it has its uses. It's going to depend on the rest of your party, obviously, like pretty much everything in the game. So let's move on. Hallucination. It's another offensive one. It's 5 MP per target, up to 3 creatures. You alter the senses of your enemies, causing them to experience bizarre, frightening hallucinations. Choose Dazed or Shaken. You inflict the chosen status effect on each target hit by this spell. So there are lots of different ways for different classes to cause this. I personally like the Sharpshooter or Weapon Master's ability to just be able to do this instead of cause damage. I think it is Dazed and Shaken, isn't it? It might be Shaken or Slow. Yeah, Shaken or Slow is the Sharpshooter. But if you don't have a reliable way for your party to cause these conditions, it might be a nice one. But the main spell, which almost everyone is going to take, is Heal. So it's 10 MP per target, up to 3 creatures. You invigorate your companions, soothing their pain and healing their fatigue. Each target recovers 40 hit points, which increases to 50 if you're level 20 or 60 if you're level 40 or higher. It's just a heal, and you can heal up to 3 targets. So I like it. Simple. Everyone likes healing. This is probably going to be, like I said, bread and butter for almost every Spiritist, because if you're taking a Spiritist, you're probably going to want to be a healer. Lux, it's an offensive one, so it's 10 MP per target, up to 3 creatures. You focus your energy into a barrage of blinding soul rays. Each target hit by the spell suffers high roll plus 15 light damage, and the opportunity is they suffer dazed. So this is your offensive option. Everyone should take an offensive option because the best defense is often a good offense. So yeah, pretty solid. Mercy. It's 20 MP for one creature. You strengthen the heart of creatures against suffering and despair. Until the spell ends, if the target would be reduced to 0 hit points, they are instead left standing with exactly 1 hit point. So this is your stop people dying spell. Spell ends once that happens, so it's a 1-hit thing. It's okay. Like I've mentioned in a lot of videos, enemies attack you randomly in Fabula Ultima. So unless you had like an ally that likes to provoke enemies into attacking them a lot and would likely go down a lot, then this is kind of situational at best. So yeah, I don't know. Like it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. I think there are stronger options. Reinforce, 5 MP per target, up to 3 creatures. You protect the targets for attacks that would corrupt their body and spirit. Choose one of the conditions. Until the spell ends, each target becomes immune to the chosen status effect. So, say for example, if you're fighting like the the poisonous frog boss of the poison swamp or something, you can pick poison, and then they won't be poisoned. Like, it's situational for sure, and you have to have like the insight of what condition you're likely going to be hit with. But yeah, it's pretty good. Like, you can find a good use for it. It's just obviously we've got not a lot of spells that we can take, so it's not the best, but it's not bad. Soul Weapon is MP cost, and the target is one equipped weapon for the scene. You imbue a weapon with cleansing energy of your spirit until the spell ends. All damage dealt by the weapon becomes the light type. If you have the weapon equipped when you cast a spell, you may perform a free attack with it as part of the same action. The spell can only be cast on a weapon equipped by a willing creature. So you can't like cast it on a boss to make the boss deal light damage if you've got like light resistance armor or something like that. This is pretty good. Say, for example, if you have an ally who has, I don't know, like a flame sword or something, and you're fighting an enemy that's immune to fire, you can cast this on them to change the damage type, and you might be able to actually do some damage now. So again, situational, but depending on your campaign, not a lot of things would resist light. So it's got the potential to help someone who's in need. And then the last spell we've got is Torpor. It's 5 MP per target, up to 3 creatures. You smother the soul energy coursing through the bodies of your foes, hindering their movements. Choose slow or weak. You inflict the condition on them. So this is like hallucination, but it's the other two. So between these two, you could have the ability to cast all 4 statuses on up to 3 creatures. You'd have to take 4 turns, and it would cost you 60 mind points, and you've got a chance to miss. But this is a way that you can be like offensively putting conditions down on people. So yeah, I like it. There's a lot of standout spells like Heal and Lux for sure, because you want healing and you want to be able to have offensive capabilities. Cleanse really good. Each target recovers from all status effects, and the rest you kind of like look around your party and kind of like choose depending on like who they are and what the kind of the party makeup is. But we're not done here. That's just the skills. So we also have the heroic skills. So let me bring up one of them now. So first one is Hope. So Hope is the ultimate Spiritist spell. It's 40 M points, special target, duration instant. So you kindle the flames of courage and hope for defeating within a defeated hero. Choose a player character who surrendered but is still present on the scene. That player character immediately regains consciousness and recovers an amount of hit points equal to their crisis score. Note that this spell will not undo the consequence of the character's surrender and is of no use if the character left the scene as part of the surrender, like if they're captured, and so on. A player character may only be affected by the spell once per scene. If the character is brought back into the conflict by the spell and is reduced to 0 hit points again, they must sacrifice or surrender as per normal rules. So this is your resurrect skill. Yeah, pretty. You kind of need it. Like, we haven't even looked at the other skills yet, and we know that this is more than likely the one that almost every Spiritist will take. You're a healer. You want to be able to resurrect people. Like, this is it. Like, we'll look at the other skills just because that's what this channel is. But if you've played a Spiritist, you probably want Hope. So the next one in the core rulebook is Powerful Spell. Powerful Spell. So you can have this with Chimerist, Elementalist, Entropist, or Spiritist. We've covered this one a lot. When you cast a spell that deals damage to one or more creatures, that spell deals 5 extra damage. Or if you're at level 40 or higher, it deals 10 extra damage. Like, your thing as a Spiritist isn't offense, so pick Hope. Like, you can say, like, the Elementalist, you probably want like Volcano or whatever it was called, the massive spell there. But like, if you're not sure what to pick when you're leaning into the spellcasting classes for another one, like, I think another class would benefit this more than the Spiritist class. Like, if you're an offensive spellcaster rather than a support spellcaster. But that's the one from the core rulebook. Well, that's the 2. There are 3 from the High Fantasy Atlas. I'm not going to go through the Techno Fantasy Atlas to see whether there are Spiritist things here, because I haven't done for the other classes. and I want to keep this even. So yeah, the first one we've covered a few times is by mages. You have to have at least 2 or more and be level 30. So this is actually really good. So once per turn during a conflict, if you have an arcane weapon equipped, which we should have, you can spend 20 to 50 mind points to perform the spell action for free twice, casting 2 spells without needing to pay their MP costs. If you do, the 2 spells must have a combined MP cost total equal to lower than 20 plus the amount you would have spent, or you've spent to use the skill. So, for example, if you spend 20 mind points to do by Magus, then you can do 40 MP worth of spells and have 2 spells. But the second spell must have the MP cost that's equal to or lower than half the total of the MP cost of the first spell. So if you spent 40, you could do like a 30 and a 10, say. So this is really good. Like, I really like it. This is basically free MP, and it lets you cast twice in a turn instead of one. So this is, for a spellcaster, this is incredible. But again, Spiritist, Hope is just fantastic, and you probably want to resurrect people. But you could, like, say, be a Spiritist, and you can choose like Entropist or something to augment your Spiritist abilities. And then when you hit level 30, you can get the Entropist to get this, and then you can do that as a Spiritist, if that makes sense. But there's more. Next one is fast rituals. When you initiate a ritual during a conflict scene, if the ritual clock is created with 2 fewer sections than normal to a minimum of 4 sections. So it depends how often you ritual cast during combat scenes, really. But again, Hope is too good. The last one is called Magic Guard. I went past it. When you perform the guard action, if you choose not to provide cover, you gain the following benefits until the start of your next turn. When a creature you can see casts a spell, after that creature pays the spell's MP cost, you may spend the amount of mind points equal to 10 plus the spell's total MP cost in order to completely stop the casting of the spell and negate its effects. So when big boss bad guy's clock is filled and he casts the world-ending spell, if you have 10 more MP than the amount of spell points that it costs and you had guarded the turn before it was cast, you can negate it. So it's incredibly specific to, like, situational, I should say, rather than specific. It has the potential to be able to change a conflict completely by negating like a giant spell. But again, you're a support character. Like, if you take the guard action, you're not healing people. So I don't know, I wouldn't take this on a Spiritist. Like a Chimerist maybe, but not a Spiritist, because you'd want to be the healer and you just want to take Hope, which is my opinion anyway. So yeah, that's the Spiritist. I really like it. It fills a very important role, which is the healer in the party. A lot of teams wouldn't want a dedicated healer, but if you are the kind of group that likes a dedicated healer and you want to be one, Spiritist is the way to go. You could either start as a Spiritist or dip into it to get good healing, but yeah, it's just a pretty solid choice if you want to be a healer. So I'm going to end the video there. Thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.